So it is Christmas time and we are going to make a Yule log cake. But not just any Yule log cake. This is going to be a vegan Yule log cake. Let's go. Hi, welcome to Cake Mom. I'm Abby, and on this channel I share with you guys some of my favorite tips and techniques, as well as recipes, to help you with your home baking projects. If you're new or haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel and hitting that notifications bell so that you can see when I post my next video. So as always, the recipe will be in the description below, but here's everything you will need for the sponge cake portion of this dessert. Granulated sugar, all-purpose flour, pumpkin puree, vegetable oil, cocoa powder, water, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. So you will need a bowl, a whisk, an offset spatula, a regular rubber spatula, and a sheet pan that has an edge and it's lined with parchment paper in the bottom. You're going to start with combining all of your dry ingredients. So that is the flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, and salt, and granulated sugar. Just give that a little whisk. So as I was whisking that, I realized there were a lot of little clumps of cocoa powder, so I went ahead and sifted it because you don't want any lumpy bumpies in this beautiful sponge cake. So there's our sifted dry ingredients, and now we're going to whisk in our wet ingredients. So now we're going to spread this batter very evenly into this lovely cookie sheet. This is, what size is this? Now we're just gonna spread our batter in. Now we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for somewhere between 12 and 20 minutes. Keep a very close eye on it. What you're looking for is when you lightly touch the center of the cake, it springs back ever so slightly. You don't want it to just be like really dry and hard and just boing. Kind of want it to like slowly release. But if you push it and it just kind of concaves, that's not done. It's not done. So leave it in for a couple more minutes. So let's go. So while your cake is in the oven, you want to go ahead and prepare a dish towel with some dusted powdered sugar, because what we're going to do as soon as that cake comes out of the oven, we're gonna dump it out onto here, and while the parchment paper is still on there, roll it up like a log so that it can cool in that shape so there won't be as much cracking when you go to fill it and re-roll it. All right, so now we're going to make some cute little decorations to put on our vegan Yule log, and these are going to be meringue mushrooms. Not any meringue, obviously, because meringue is made with egg whites, so this is vegan meringue, which is made with aquafaba, or the water from a can of garbanzo beans. So this recipe will also be in the description below, but here's what you will need for these little meringue mushrooms. Dairy-free chocolate chips, cream of tartar, granulated sugar, garbanzo beans, and almond extract. I had my bowl in the freezer for about 10 minutes. It just makes everything whip up faster. Also make sure this is very clean of all grease, because that prohibits the whipping. So we're just going to take the water from the can of garbanzo beans and whip it up until it starts to form soft peaks. Don't forget to add in the cream of tartar while you're whipping it. Then once it's gotten to about soft peaks, you start adding in the sugar very slowly until it's gone, and you should have stiff peaks of aquafaba meringue. Go ahead and add in a little bit of almond extract for flavor, and then we're going to pipe it onto a sheet pan lined with parchment paper in different sizes, caps and stems. And then we will be baking these in a 250-degree oven for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, or until they are crispy and dry. And then you can store these overnight in an airtight container before we do the next step. All right, so now we're going to continue with the meringue mushrooms. As you see, these have fully baked. They're slightly brown because I baked them at a little bit of a higher temperature, but that's okay. They are completely dry, and I stored them overnight in a Ziploc bag because you don't want any air getting to these because they do get sticky because of the humidity. We're in Florida. Now we've got our stems and our caps, and here I have melted the vegan chocolate chips down. So we have a little bit of melted chocolate and a little bit of cocoa powder just to give it a little pop. So what you'll need is some kind of either a paintbrush or like a little bit of an offset spatula, but something small. So just take some of your melted chocolate and just paint around the cap. Once you have the bottom of the cap completely painted, you're gonna wanna take a little toothpick or a skewer and poke a hole right in the middle. You don't want it to go all the way through. You're just making a place for the stem to sit. Just kind of hollow it out a little bit. And then choose a stem. This is why we leave the little points on the top. You dip it in a little bit of chocolate and stick it in there. Now you want to let these set up before you try to put them on the cake. So next we have two frostings to make. One is actually a filling and one is the glaze on top. So we're gonna start with the filling. We want something light and fluffy and delicious. So it's going to be a whipped cream buttercream. As always, the recipe will be in the description below, but here's what you will need to create this. Powdered sugar, vanilla extract, dairy-free whipping cream, vegan butter, and salt. Now I am using the Earth's Balance buttery sticks. You're gonna need two of these and you want them to be slightly cool, but not cold. If they get too soft, it almost makes it almost like oil, because that's what these are made from. You don't want runny filling. So whip your butter until it is light and fluffy. You know, a couple minutes is what you're going for. You don't want it over softened. Now you have to go ahead and add your powdered sugar and beat this until it is completely combined. It's okay if it seems really stiff and maybe even a little clumpy, because we are adding heavy whipping cream, so it'll work. Add all of your powdered sugar. So add the rest of your ingredients while your mixer is whipping, and you want to whip it until you have a nice fluffy consistency. As far as your frosting goes, it should be delicious. Make sure you add enough vanilla, but this is all to personal taste. So I like about 2 teaspoons. Some people like less, some people like more, but that's what I'm going with. So now give your sides a little scrape and whip it just a little bit longer and your frosting will be complete. So now for the glaze on the outside, it's going to be a very rich chocolate coating. So as always, recipe below, but here's what you will need. Strong cold coffee, melted vegan chocolate chips, vegan butter, powdered sugar, salt, and a little bit of the filling we made earlier. So this one you don't need a mixer for because it's a glaze, not a fluffy filling. You're going to add the butter to the melted chocolate chips and stir it until it is completely combined and melted together. Then you will be adding the powdered sugar, a pinch of salt, and the cold coffee, and stir that until it's completely combined. At the very end, you should have a cooled mixture. Might be a little thin, so we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of the filling we made earlier to kind of make it a little bit fluffy. Okay, so we have all of our components finished, and now it is time to put them together. Now, this did cool in the fridge overnight. Like I said before, you want to make sure that your cake is completely cool before you try to unroll it and fill it. Otherwise, it will melt your filling and it will make a mess, so don't do that. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see in this video, I have had a few cracks in my Yule log. However, I still got it into a log shape, and when in doubt, the freezer is your best friend. So if you get to this point, it's just like literally falling apart, just get it in the freezer as fast as you can and bring it back out a little bit later and try work on it again. Now, this chocolate coating does harden because it is mostly melted chocolate chips. I'm going to glaze this with my chocolate glaze, spread it kind of smooth, but then give it some different textures with my offset spatula and a little fork. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm going to add my beautiful little meringue mushrooms, and I'm going to make some sugar moss. Vegan Vegan Yule Log. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you might also like this vegan strawberry cake we did right over here. That is a delicious recipe, so go check it out. And if you haven't yet, please give this video a thumbs up, comment below because I would love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notifications bell so that you can see when I post my next video. See you guys next time.